Hey everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, May the 6th, 2024. It's going to be a big, important week for shifting energies to calm down. On Tuesday with the new moon in Taurus. But let's start with Monday, May the 6th. The moon is going to be in Aries, fiery Aries, but it's going to be void of course. And as I mention every week, when the moon is changing signs and no longer making aspects to any other planet, there's no activity, the energy is flat, and you wouldn't want to launch a major new project, start a new event with the moon void of course, because the energy is very unproductive. But to stick with your routine, it's good time for resting. But this moon is going to be void of course from Sunday night around 11 p.m. Pacific time through Monday the 6th to 2:43 p.m. Pacific time. So we're going to start off the work week with a long moon void of course. Now, the sun is going to be in harmony with Saturn. Saturn is this grounding, practical business energies, and the sun is going to be shining a favorable influence onto it. So even though the moon is void of course most of the day, this could still be a good day to finish up projects, to bring, to accomplish goals, not start anything new, but just kind of, bring it all together. Then on May the 7th, there's going to be a new moon later in the day. But let's start with, in the morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time, the moon, which represents these emotional reactions, are aligning with Venus. Venus is the planet of relationships and love, cooperation. It's also the planet of creativity. So this could be a very good period for a couple of hours for a creative meeting, for connecting to a loved one, visiting an art gallery because you're being inspired creatively. But the new moon is in steady, calming Taurus. It's going to be in harmony with Saturn, and it peaks at 8:23 p.m. Pacific time. So most of the world, this eclipse, this new moon, is really triggering on Wednesday the 8th. Now, why this is so important is because in the past 6 weeks or so, we've had a full moon lunar eclipse. But then we had a new moon solar eclipse. And Mercury was in retrograde the first 25 days of April. So there's been, and then there was the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on the 20th of April. So there's a lot of instability, a lot of excitement, a lot of change, for some people, a lot of chaos. And that new moon, which was a solar eclipse on the 8th of April, Aries is very fiery, very ambitious, very defensive to aggressive. But now the new moon on the 7th going into the 8th, it's in Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign. The moon, this new moon in Taurus that will be impacting us for those next 4 weeks to the next new moon. Taurus is steady. It likes a routine. It's calming. And it's in harmony with pragmatic business Saturn. And Taurus is a sign of money, material wealth, finances, Saturn is so business-oriented, pragmatic. So after all the ups and downs and changes, this new moon can start to really calm us down and even steady our financial securities. On the 8th, as the moon is going to continue in Taurus, it's going to cross over expansive lucky Jupiter from around 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time. Good for traveling, that's Jupiter. Good for education, that's Jupiter. But emotionally, there's going to be much more optimism. Now, the moon will leave steady Taurus and move into restless Gemini at 4:21 p.m. Pacific time. Moon in Gemini is going to be a lot more mental stimulation, more running errands, lots of conversations. So this is a lot of mental busyness. And after it goes into Gemini, it will be in harmony with Pluto, the Lord of the Underworld, from about 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. This could be a very favorable time for very profound conversations or a lot of deep introspection and meditation. On the 9th, the moon continues in Gemini, so you're just bouncing off walls with all kinds of ideas. Gemini can be very witty, flexible, changeable. But at the very end of the day, 10 p.m. to midnight, but Pacific time, the moon will be in a hard angle called a square to Saturn. That moon Saturn can be a time of worrying, or this realization that there's certain things you need to let go. And it doesn't have to be relationships necessarily. It could be, your work responsibilities. It's like, this is getting too much, need to let it go. Friday, on the 10th, the moon is going to be in harmony with communication Mercury from around 10, 11 or so a.m. Pacific time. Good for conversations, for meetings, for writings, making travel plans. Later in the day, the moon, however, will be in a square or a difficult angle to nebulous Neptune around 6:50 p.m. where it's exact. So between like 6:30 to 8, that moon Neptune, we might be feeling unfocused, a little spacey, a little, confused emotionally. But at 8:40 p.m. Pacific time, the moon leaves Gemini and goes into Cancer. Cancer is more nurturing, emotional, caring. When the moon was in Gemini, you're like all over the place, just sucking up all this mental stimulation. But when the moon goes into Cancer, we tend to be more reflective, may want to just stay close to home and family, and that's the energy for the weekend. So on Saturday, that emotional moon will be squaring a stressful angle to impatient, assertive Mars. 8 a.m., around 11 a.m., 12 noon, maybe past that Pacific time. There could be a lot of anxiousness, impatientness, irritability. The thing is, this too shall pass. And if you're feeling angry or irritable, go exercise. Get the energy out of your body. And it only is strong for an hour or two. On Sunday, the moon continues in emotional, nurturing Cancer. It's going to be in harmony, though, with stabilizing, grounding Saturn, a time of feeling much more secure emotionally, but even financially. But this is happening around 4, 5 to 6 a.m. Pacific time. Then in the early afternoon Pacific time, the moon will be in harmony with the sun and Uranus. When the sun and moon are in harmony, everything seems to flow more comfortably. And it's connected with Uranus also. And Uranus is getting out of an old rut, trying new things, bringing in a lot of new excitement. Very favorable for breaking old limiting patterns or just getting out of your comfort zone and trying something all new. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.